Bales of hay, horses, fireflies, barn raisings, buggies, beautiful women hiding their hair under a cap as they stare into the horizon. Ah, the Amish romance novel. Those who are unfamiliar with the world of the category romance are often surprised to learn that such a thing exists. Heck, you might be surprised to learn there are thousands of Amish romance novels, many of them bestsellers. The appeal of the genre is clear. I'll get to that in a moment. These books also offer us a number of writing craft lessons. I'll get into that in a moment, too. I'm Kenneth Nichols, aka Allison Rhodes, and we're going to improve our own writing by looking at the lessons that Amish novels can teach us. But first, a word from our sponsor, Dialect. A dialect is a specific flavor of a language spoken by a specific group in a specific geographic area. Specific. If you're writing Angela's Ashes 3, Angie's Revenge, the Irish zombies that populate your post apocalyptic phantasmagoria shouldn't have Russian accents and use Russian idioms. No, you have to create dialogue that communicates their Irish accent and the difficulty they have speaking because their zombie jaws are rotting away. During the climax of the novel, when Angie finally confronts the Northern Irish doctor who created the zombie virus, she should not say, Dr. O'Hurley, at long last you will pay for your crimes. Instead, you should say, Oh, faith and begorra, Dr. O'Hurley, you'll be paying for your crimes as sure as the sun rises over the leprechauns will go away. Okay, well, I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. Dialect. Use the promo code Allison and you'll get 20% off. And we're back. The Amish romance has been increasing in popularity over the past few decades. Beverly Lewis, still one of the most prominent voices in the genre, published The Shunning in 1997, and countless other authors followed her lead. Think of Lewis as the John Grisham of Amish romances. I'm going to do a very brief introduction to the Amish romance novel. If you wish to cut directly to the writing craft advice, go to this time code, the one on the screen. That one. Okay? All right. The conventions of the Amish romance are fairly consistent. They feature faith. Just like George Michael said, you gotta have faith, and these books do. No matter which Amish community they inhabit, the characters are Anabaptists who, appropriately, never push their faith on outsiders, but still get a lesson in here and there. What's an Anabaptist? They believe that a person can't be baptized, can't commit to faith and belief before they are old and mature enough to do so. Most Christians baptize babies who have no idea what's going on. The Amish allow a person to wait until he or she is of age and has experienced the real world for some time. That's the awesome Rumspringer you've heard about. Once a young person has decided to become truly Amish, there is no going back. But if that person decides to leave the community, no harm, no foul, but they're not part of the community. And if a baptized person decides to leave, well, that's a shunning. Each Amish community has their own Ordnung, the rules of the order. Some allow members to use electricity to run specific machines related to their business. Some even ban tractors. It's all up to the bishop. Seriously, they take faith seriously. Their church services take place every other week, but they last 3 hours and they're in German. That's how hardcore they are. This faith is an integral part of the Amish romance. Even if the reader or author isn't a religious believer, there's a great appeal in the calm simplicity of the rules by which they lead their lives. Currently, I'm in a bad mood and I'm annoyed. It's not your fault, don't worry. As it stands, my mind is torn back and forth considering the thing I'm annoyed about. No, I'm not going to tell you. In an Amish romance novel, a character in my position would use his or her faith to calm the tempest between the ears. Ooh, that would be a good name for a poetry collection. The Tempest Between the Ears. Family! As they say, the Amish are in the world but not of the world. Amish folks have Englisher friends, that's what they call us, but their social and family circles are naturally narrowed by their choices. Okay, get this. At night, families don't sit around in different rooms playing with different electronic devices. They don't even own tablets. No, the family members, they sit around, often in the same room, and they talk to each other. They do some sewing. They read their Bibles together. Isn't that weird? In many cases, the youngest son inherits the family farm. The older ones have found their own ways of making a living. Do he and his wife boot the parents into an independent living facility? Nope. Many farms have a daddy house, a separate house on the farmland in which Pa and Ma live and stay connected to everybody. Language. The Amish originated in Switzerland in the 17th century, so they took their language with them. Most Amish speak English. They need to get around town and do business in America, but they also speak German and or Pennsylvania Dutch, their own specific dialect. The Amish romance novel is rife with these words. Women cover their hair with a cap. A man and woman hope they are blessed with many kinner. Someone did something nice for you? Say donkey. And of course, if you're down and out, you can always look for help from Gott. Culture. For the past few hundred years, Amish people have interacted with the rest of us, but have largely kept to themselves when possible. They are able to survive in part because of their emphasis on community, self reliance, and thrift. If someone in the community needs a new barn, everyone gets together. The men do the building and the women feed the hungry men. When a community member needs medical attention that exceeds the community's abilities, everyone gets together to chip in for the patient to be treated by English or doctors. Yes, I know. Many aspects of the Amish existence are not in line with many contemporary attitudes. On the other hand, reading for entertainment is about escapism. How many of us don't want to escape to a simpler life, even if only for a day? Writing craft lessons. All right, look. I understand that the average Harlequin category romance is not going to win a literary award. I mean, ever. But there's the truth. These writers sell a lot of books, they have devoted readers, and most of all, they have a lot to teach us. Amish romances are excellent for helping us to learn restraint. What do I mean? Well, let's look at one of the sticky points that people often mention: the role of women in Amish society. This is restraint in characterization. It's very easy to write a strong female character where you can make her a hard charging lawyer, or a tough as nails contestant in the Hunger Games, or a martial arts expert looking to avenge the loss of her baby. That's easy. It's much harder to create a strong, deep female protagonist when the star of your story happily falls into very traditional gender roles. In one of my own novels, the young woman protagonist challenges the school board in order to convince them to teach real and useful sex ed in Fletcher High. She talks to the press and gives an interview to NPR. These are pretty big actions. She's really putting herself out there. This kind of development is not appropriate for an Amish romance, so authors need to dig a little deeper and be a little more creative. Leslie Gould's Amish romances borrow loosely from the plots of Shakespeare. In Becoming Bee, we get an appropriately Beatrice and Benedict relationship from Bee and Ben. Bee is not subjugated. She is a strong young woman who makes her own choices. She helps a new mother care for her triplets. She has a vibrant social life. Crucially, Bee is a reader, and I don't just mean the Bible, though she does read that. Some bishops may frown upon such a thing, but the ordinum to which Bee is subject allows her to enjoy some of the other literature that humans have created. After all, if there is some sort of deity, he can inspire us to create beauty. Just look at Beethoven. Bee is fully herself. She knows what she wants, and she refuses to accept anything less. On the other hand, she is open to compromise for a partner who is willing to do the same for her. One of the enjoyable challenges of writing in such a genre is figuring out how to forge such a strong and complete and full female character while constrained by some pretty onerous restrictions. Next, restraint in plot. While you are welcome to turn a genre on its ear, the Amish romance, or similar genres, simply can't have an inciting incident in which Rachel Stoltzfus heads into town to get some fabric for a new dress, and she finds herself in the middle of an alien invasion. Bang! Boom! Pow! The writer of an Amish romance has some serious restrictions, not the least of which are the actual restrictions imposed upon the Amish by their ordinum. The writer can cheat, of course, by liberalizing the rules or allowing a character to transgress with some punishment in store, but the plot of a novel about the plain people must, for lack of a better word, be pretty plain. Writing an Amish romance forces the author to be very creative while hewing to the basics. There are two kinds of conflict, internal and external. What's the nature of your protagonist's conflict, whether or not he or she is Amish? Conflict with self, conflict with others, conflict with Gott and Himmel. What does the character want that he or she can't have? When you write a novel under these restrictions, you must be more resourceful. External conflict. Against who or what is your protagonist chafing? Who is trying to keep your protagonist from succeeding? That's the antagonist. For example, I just read and enjoyed The Amish by Lewis. Let's take a look at the book description. Television journalist Leah Port never imagined her career would end with her witnessing a murder. Now she's temporarily living among the Amish in witness protection. Instead of feeling alone and adrift, Leah is warmly welcomed by the close-knit community and Amish bachelor Isaac Summer. But caught between two very different worlds, choosing love would mean leaving her English life behind forever. External. Those gang members want her dead because she could testify against them in court. She wishes to stay alive, so she must hide. Internal. Leah doesn't believe in God, but the people around her do, and they're so happy. External. The Bylers are endlessly kind, and they provide Leah with a home, but she feels a responsibility not to impose upon them too severely. Internal. Leah develops a crush on super hot Amish bachelor Isaac Zoma, but she knows she can't be with him because it would ruin his life. External. Leah is a hard driving career woman who must, at least temporarily, live under rules that don't exactly cater to hard driving career women. Internal. Leah loves the news and loves journalism, but she can't put herself out in public. Can she find a way to satisfy her career related ambitions while also satisfying her increasing need to fit in with the Bylers and their community? See, the gang shooting, which is not depicted in the actual novel, is the biggest and flashiest plot element in the novel. The rest of the time, Leah is learning how to wash clothes and pick carrots. The author, Patrice Lewis, couldn't toss huge plot bombs into the novel, so she had to wring satisfying drama out of relatively quiet conflicts. Will Leah confront her past and believe in God? Will Leah come to grips with the fact that she can no longer be the kind of journalist that she was? Can Leah resist her feelings for Isaac? One of the nicest touches in the novel is the relationship between Leah and Rachel, one of the Byler daughters. Rachel was born with some physical problems that preclude the young woman from having children, even though she desperately wanted to become a mother. Of course, Rachel has employed her faith to come to peace with her reality. Rachel helps Leah address the quiet conflict inside her. After all, while hiding from murderers is a pretty big obstacle in life, Rachel's may be even more severe, considering who and where she is. Writing the Amish romance or any other story subject to similar restraints forces the author to focus more strongly than ever on conflict that emerges from character. I mean, we should be doing that anyway, but it's even more important when your protagonist spends 14 hours a day in a woodworking shop. Restraint in world building. Like I said, Amish people and Amish romances place a heavy focus on community. Just as your characters and plot must be compelling as they are muted, you must place your plot and characters into a compelling world. Are all Amish people the same? Of course not. But by the nature of such a community, you're not going to have, say, the neighborhood man scientist, the group of ladies who outwit a drug cartel, the friendly neighborhood family that emigrated from Remulac. A writer who tackles an Amish romance or a similar novel must find ways to create a distinct world with the restrictions inherent in depicting an Amish community. You need to have someone who can care for sick animals, a widow, retired couples in dotty houses. Their key is to go past the stereotypes when being forced to deal in stereotypes. Isn't this a key for writing romantic comedies, thrillers, so many other genres? So Aaron Troyer repairs buggies. Great. You need to build out the rest of who he is to a greater extent than in some other kinds of stories. It's not as though your character can simply fly out to Chicago to find the confidential source that is helping him bring down a white shoe law firm. In your own quiet novel, you should depend on your secondary characters as much as your protagonists do. If you made it this far, congratulations. Thank you so much. The YouTube ordinance demands that I ask you to pound that like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. I have a lot of other writing craft videos that you might enjoy. How do you maneuver around the restrictions placed upon you by the kinds of stories that you write? What's your favorite Amish novel? Have you ever visited Amish country? Any cool anecdotes? I'm excited to see what you'd say. That's about it right now. I am Kenneth Nichols, also known as Allison Rhodes, reminding you books are good.